Hey guys, welcome back. The AR-15 sucks. Well, not really. I love the AR-15. But it has room for improvement, as all firearms do, or any mechanical device that a man designs, or woman. So, what is so cool about the AR-15? The thing has evolved exceptionally well over the years. So many other guns, like the AK, haven't evolved so well to adapt to modern times and needs, or to modern innovation. But the AR-15 has done an exceptional job. The AR-15 has been the basis for so many different designs that it's kind of incredible. Now, most rifles, like this LWRC, stick to a mostly mil-spec design, but companies get a little creative. LWRC has their own handguard and receiver thing going on out here, and that makes them somewhat unique. Now, they're also known for their piston guns. This is one of their DI guns. But other companies have gone to extremes in other directions, trying to increase the functionality of the AR-15, maintain parts commonality where they can with mil-spec designs, and it's produced a lot of really cool, interesting products, and we're going to talk about one today. Now, we featured it before. I think it was back in 2017 here on the channel. It was a prototype back then. It's called the FoldAR, but now we have a production model that's had some pretty significant updates done to it, and we're going to show you that and talk about folding ARs, the next step in making this rifle even more utilitarian. So, with that being said, let's do a little shooting with the LWRC. Let's take a look at this FoldAR, because I think you're going to like it. I kind of do myself. A lot of folks ask me, how can I get involved in the firearms business in that particular community? And one of the best ways to do that is to become a gunsmith. Every gunsmith I know is just overbooked with work. It's a very good living. And so if you would like to become a gunsmith, you need to go to a gunsmithing school or become an apprentice for an existing gunsmith. But Modern Gun School is an accredited college that also works with veterans in the GI Bill, where you can go and get a degree from accredited college in gunsmithing and then go out and start your own gunsmithing business, which I think is a really great option. Again, throughout my entire life, gunsmiths have always been able to earn a really good living, assuming they have a really strong work ethic. So please check out Modern Gun School. I do have a link in the video description below. So, people that carry rifles around many times want to get the rifle to fit into the smallest possible area that they can get it into, like a backpack. But most rifles don't really lend themselves well to really small carry packs like this one. But inside this little tiny backpack is a AR-15 with a 16-inch barrel. But before I show you how that was accomplished, I want to address something that I've seen in terms of comments made in other videos that we've done. So we did a video, for example, on the new Air Force rifle, which is a takedown rifle. And the Air Force rifle really makes a small package out of the AR-15. But in the comment section, we saw people saying, well, the AR-15 is already a takedown gun, just unpin the upper from the lower. And sure, you would think that would be the same thing, but it's not. Why is that? Well, because when you have the upper, the biggest problem with the length is the fact that the receiver is attached to the barrel. So you have a 16-inch barrel, then you have another 8 inches of receiver back here. So when you combine the two, there's no way this thing, even unpinned, is going to fit in that little tiny backpack. It's just not going to happen. You have to figure out a way to get rid of this distance attached to the back of the barrel if you want to get it into something truly really small, especially with a 16-inch barrel. So just unpinning it doesn't get you where you want to be. Now, in the past, takedown guns like this one, now this is an SBR, but this one has a short barrel on it because of its SBR status, but it still gives you an idea of how we can seriously reduce the overall length of an AR-15 by taking it apart. So in doing that, we can take the stock off this one, pull the bolt slightly to the rear. This is an old Dolos takedown system. They don't make this system anymore, but it allows you to take the gun down, and this is borrowed from the Air Force gun, the Fab Defense folding pistol grip. But sure, that would comfortably fit in that backpack, and you still have room for lunch. So the only downside to this is you now have 3 major components just floating around loose in a backpack. And you got to wrestle all these parts together and get it all put back together if you want to use it. So that's the downside to being able to take the gun apart. So the other option is to keep it all in one piece and still figure out a way to get it into this little tiny backpack. And that's where the guys at FoldAR have really done something kind of cool. This rifle has a full-length 16-inch barrel on it. All they've done is hinged it and allowed to fold up here in front of the receiver. And that gives us that shortening effect that we're looking for. So this is not a new product. We talked about this, I think, back in 2017, and it was a prototype back then. And we did extensive testing. I'll link to that video in the description below. I don't want to redo all the tests that we've done in the past. But we shot this thing, got it hot, opened and cold, closed the action, did all sorts of testing with it, and concluded that the gun actually works quite well. And they've made improvements to it, and now that it's getting ready to go into production. Now, it's going to be limited production for 2023, but they do plan on spinning up the production of these guns. They plan to make all the components they can in-house so they can control quality, which is something that I admire. So how do we do this, right? How do we get this thing to fold? Well, some of the improvements we'll go over when we talk about all the features of the gun, but basically all you have to do is swing this open. There is a locking detent right here, which locks into the handguard. So it will stay in the folded position. It's a friction fit and a little detent, and it'll pop over that piece, and that allows it to stay folded and small. Now, to get it ready for use, you have this giant claw on the side here, and there's no pressure on it when it's folded. So all you have to do is pull the bolt slightly to the rear, swing the barrel closed, let the bolt go, push this claw down, tension this by just snapping it closed, and the gun is ready to go. There's no need to fumble around trying to put parts together and get everything back in order. You just fold your barrel. No tools required. So this is actually a really, really cool solution. And what I found amazing about the FoldAR is, especially when it stays cold, like you have it folded in your bag, you take it out, deploy it, fold the barrel, it goes right back to its original zero. The only time that we've seen the zero wander a little bit is if you fold it when the gun's hot. So you run 3 or 4 magazines through it, fold it, let it set, close it back up. It'll take a couple of shots fired before the gun will settle back down and go back to its original point of aim. But that's only because you have aluminum and steel in here that are going to expand and contract at different rates based upon the heat that's applied to them. And so that's kind of normal for the gun. But in a gunfight, you're not going to be folding your barrel. So just keeping it in the backpack, folded, when you deploy it, it's going to go right to zero. At least it has for us now, both with the prototype and this current production model. Now, they call this the Mo Beta, which is kind of funny, but that's what the reason they call it that is because they've made improvements. Some of the comments I made in my earliest assessment video, they took some of those comments and rolled them over into changes, and other people have had input into it. So it's an evolving product, and it just keeps getting better and better. The FoldAR tries to minimize the number of proprietary parts that it uses, and in exchange for that, you get some pretty cool functionality, which we'll talk about here in a moment. So when you have the gun ready to fire just like this, there's not going to be much difference between it and a standard mil-spec AR-15 in the way that you use it. The only thing that's going to be a little different is the fact that you have this latch over here, and it's going to take up some of your rail real estate. But back here, this rail isn't generally, or this area isn't generally all that used by people in terms of putting accessories on the gun. Usually those accessories get attached a little further out on the rail. They also have different length rails available for the gun. Plus, this is probably the easiest AR-15 to swap barrels on, barrel length and cartridges. So you can go from 5.56 to 300 blackout just with a quick barrel swap. And I'll show you how that's accomplished. No tools required. Takes seconds. Really, really cool feature of the design. And something I didn't think that they would really be able to do and maintain accuracy, but they've done. So shooting the gun is just like any other AR-15. All the controls are the same, with the exception of the proprietary upper. You have standard mil-spec lower, trigger, buffer tube, all that stuff. The only unique piece is that upper. You can pin this upper to any AR-15 or AR-15 compatible lower. I don't want to get too far off into the weeds, but let's kind of quickly go over some of the features of the FoldAR. So starting back here, all this is standard mil-spec fare. Standard M4 buffer tube, stock. Coming forward, the lower, standard AR-15. Nothing down here is proprietary at all. On top, as I've already mentioned, this is the proprietary upper. It can be pinned to any AR-15 lower or any lower that's compatible with AR-15 pins. So that gives you that functionality that's portable. So field stripping it, even though it has the folding barrel, is no different than a standard AR-15. Just go ahead and drop your bolt, pull that rear pin out, take out your bolt and carrier. Now what's interesting is they're using a adjustable gas key on this particular bolt carrier. So you can adjust it for suppressed use and unsuppressed use. All you have to do is turn a screw to select which mode you want to use it in. The folding barrel itself, they say that this is something that they're probably going to work on. Right now you have a pull tab on the original prototype. We would use the case of a bullet, get it underneath here, pry it up, because there's quite a bit of tension on here, and there needs to be to maintain that accuracy. So one way you can do this, don't pull on it like this because it'll pop loose and whack you in the knuckle. I found that out the hard way. I just kind of wrap my thumb over it, pull, and it'll release that tension, and then just give it a quick tap, and she'll fold right around. So now you can see how that system works. You can see the cut to the chamber area, so it'll come around and then snug up nice and tight. That tap is because every time it seats perfectly. I mean, it is such a perfect fit between the barrel and the upper receiver when you close it. Now here's the really, really cool part. This has changed from the original prototype I worked with. There's just a pin here. It's non-captive. You just pull this pin out. And once you get the pin out, actually it is captive. Once you get the pin out, there's your barrel assembly. So you can swap this out, put a 300 blackout barrel on here, SBR the lower, put any length barrel system you want on here simply by hinging it open. And that pin, just push it down, bring this over, put your claw down, pop it into place. I absolutely love this thing. I mean, this is probably one of the coolest modified AR-15s I've seen. I've seen a lot of gimmicky stuff, and at first look, you might think folding your barrel is a gimmick, but when you see it in that tiny little bag that I showed you a little while ago, there's no arguing that this system simply works. All right, so we have the rifle folded here, and it's assumed room temperature. To ready it for firing, again, just swing it open. And she's ready to go. So I'm going to fire 5 rounds at the target in the middle at 100 yards. Then I'm going to break the gun open. We're going to let it cool down. We'll fire another 5 rounds after we fold her back into its firing position and shoot it again. And we'll do that with the target on the right. Before I fire, let's let you guys know we are once again using Federal 5.56 today. This is 62 grain stuff. Federal supplies this ammunition free of charge to the channel. I want to thank them for doing that. Been shooting Federal my entire life. Outstanding ammunition and great people. All right, so here we go. 5 rounds, target in the middle. Just using a really small hollow sun red dot sight. All right. We'll go ahead and fold it here really quick. Remember to do that. All we have to do is, I'm going to protect my knuckles from getting busted there. Just pop that open like that. Pull the bolt slightly to the rear. Bring it around. We'll be right back. All right, so let's go ahead and extend that rifle one more time. Fire 5 more rounds with the target on the right. So here's the first 5-shot group that I fired with the 62 grain Federal. Now when we zeroed the gun, we've been shooting 55 grain, 77 grain, and 62 grain. So the 62 grain was here, or 55 grain was down here. So fired 5 rounds, folded the gun, let it set a couple of minutes, re-extended that barrel, fired another 5 rounds, and it hit in the exact same spot. I would say there's been no discernible point of impact shift at all between the two groups after folding the gun. If you guys want to learn more about this gun and see more extensive testing of the basic design, please check out our earlier video. Again, I'll put a link in the video description below. So overall, the gun, it retails for right around 1,500 bucks. That's not a horrible price given the really unique functionality that it brings to market. Everything from the folding of the barrel, which is really novel. It's kind of a neat idea. Certainly gets it into a very small space, which is something that I like. It really makes me want to use this system more than I already have, because I always like to be able to get guns into small backpacks, because whenever you're traveling, things like that, the less, I don't know, the smaller the bag is, the less likely people are to look at it and go, I wonder if he's got weapons in there. So if you got this little tiny bag, doesn't matter if it's tactical or not, people don't look at that little tiny thing and go, I bet there's a rifle in there. Matter of fact, it sends the exact opposite message. So that's what really draws me to this design. And I want to see this thing continue to evolve because I think it has a lot of promise. Now, the other piece of it that I think is really cool with the new version, the Mo Better improvement, would be the quick change barrel. Being able to just pop this pin out and take the barrel off, put a different barrel length on or a different chambering, like 300 blackout. That's really slick. Now I got to get my hands on a 300 blackout barrel for this gun, because being able to swap back and forth like that with such ease, no tools, is something that is really appealing to me. So if you want to learn more about this, check them out on their website. The name of the company again is FoldAR. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions or comments, post down below. We do try to stick around for the first couple of days after a video goes live to answer the questions you guys may have. Plus, we get video ideas from some of the comments that you guys make. If you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel, the best way to do that is to become part of our Patreon family. There's a link in the video description below. Also, right here on YouTube, you got the thanks and join button underneath the video player you're watching right now. Mash either one of those buttons and support us here on YouTube in the age of demonetization. And last but not least, please swing by, check out Copper Custom. Thank you for 15 years of support, and we'll talk to you guys soon.